In the constantly changing world of fundability, the big question is this: how are entrepreneurs and real estate investors like us, ones who want to grow our businesses and who are tired of paying for really expensive alternative lending, how do we tap into the most inexpensive money available and do it without the hassle of typical borrowing? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. Welcome to the Get Fundable podcast with your host, Merrill Chandler.
All right, welcome everybody. Merrill Chandler here, your host of the Get Fundable podcast. Now, in this episode, you always know why these are live, right? In this episode, I attempt to bring a huge, vast mess into focus so that we can know exactly what's going on. What are business credit card issuers, co-branding, and credit card processors? How many times have you thought you look at your credit card and there's like logos all over the place? That's what we take down in this episode. And please forgive me, it's live. There are a couple of stumbles that you're going to absolutely love. So I'll see you when we get back. Welcome, everybody. Merrill Chandler here, your host of the Get Fundable podcast and the Get Fundable universe. So we have, as I said in the intro, so many times nobody kind of outlines what the landmines are, right? And where to avoid stepping on a landmine. And so a lot of questions have come in through our boot camps and through our client interactions, right? Students, and people are like, there's a misunderstanding about what co-branded credit cards are, and what do different credit card processors mean, and why are there all these logos on a particular credit card? And I just decided, you know what, we're going to do a top down of all of this and describe it through and through. So first things first, let's take a look at my screen right now, and I'm going to show you, we're going to define what processors are. And a processor is a series of logos that you've seen that are VISA, MasterCard, American Express, and Discover. So what you can see right there, right? By the way, this is going to be an important one to go back and either read the blog or go look at in the show notes, because we will have the PNG files, the graphic files, so that you can see what we're referring to. But if you're watching live in the video, then this is good. I'm going to try and describe it for our audio audience, but I want to make sure that we are super, super clear. So what's on the screen right now are four logos. There's a Visa, a MasterCard, an American Express, and a Discover. Now these are they vary. These different logos vary over time. MasterCard has literally removed the word MasterCard out, and it's just an orange and red bubble. Visa changes its logos. American Express and Discover stayed pretty much the same, but it can be different colors. So the processor, let's kind of describe this. A processor is the individual, a company that takes the money from your credit card through the merchant account and then distributes some to the merchants, to the retailer or the merchant's checking account, some to the bank, and then the processor keeps a little bit of money on the side. Now, processing fees for most credit card transactions are anywhere between 3 to 5%, depending on the industry. And yes, industries, different types of industries will charge your credit card a different percentage point. And here's the kind of the most, I want to call it upsetting, but here's the most problematic of all of this whole processing model, is that depending on the type of rewards card you're using, some rewards cards, because of their super advanced, right, it's 3% or 4% cash back or 50,000 miles or whatever is going on with that particular card, which is embedded in the magnetic strip, the instructions can take out as much as 8, and I've even seen 11%. Now, that money doesn't come out of your pocket. It comes out of the merchant's pocket, the retailer's pocket, the person who you're buying the goods or services from. Now, the problem with this is that depending on the card you're using determines how much money is going to be taken out of the store or the merchant or the retailer's pocket. Now, who's doing the processing is based on what you see right here. Who's doing the processing is that Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover. And you will always find that. Let me bring that one up. You'll always find that information at the bottom right-hand corner. So whatever logo, guys, whatever logo is in that bottom right-hand corner, that is who the processor are. Now, I'm going to pull up 2 here and kind of show you a little bit of difference between them. So we see a Walmart money card on the screen, and then we see a Capital One. Well, remember the logo I told you about where they said that MasterCard's even removed the words MasterCard. So bottom right-hand corner says what company is doing the processing of this credit transaction. Here's what's fascinating about this is that so many times you're going to read, there are groups out online who are trying to sell you credit services. They're trying to teach you about credit. And they say, you can get a Visa or MasterCard when you do my program. Well, a Visa or MasterCard is talking about the processor. They don't say you can get a Chase $100,000 business line of credit or business credit card or personal Wells Fargo card. They're saying you can get a Visa or MasterCard. There's no such thing as a Visa card and a MasterCard card. There are banks. On the MasterCard one you're looking at, it's Capital One. On the Visa one on your screen that you're looking at, it's Walmart. There's no such thing as a Visa card or a MasterCard card. Those are processors. But because Visa and MasterCard for decades have been advertising, hey, if it's Visa, it's accepted in all 27 million places around the globe. You remember those advertisements? We don't care that it's a Visa or a MasterCard. They're trying to sell you, oh, I need to get a Visa card. I need to get a MasterCard so I can use that. That's because the processing fees, whenever you're in Vienna, Austria, and you're using your MasterCard, they make the money for that card. But here's the thing. Every one of these cards are represented, are process bank cards. The Capital One is a bank card. The one on the left, the Walmart card, that is a low value retail card. So let's use a couple other examples. So now here's another Walmart card I wanted to show you. Let's pull this one down. And now we've got a money card from Visa, but then we also have a Walmart card for MasterCard is running this one. And then we also have a Walmart card. There it is. What's going on? Why does it have a Discover in the bottom right-hand corner? Because Discover is also a processor. And take a look here. And so is American Express. Now, this is where it can be confusing, because Discover is both a credit card issuer, just like Walmart is a credit card issuer, and American Express is a credit card issuer. But look at the bottom right. American Express, they're on the left. Look at that. Right. Whoa, let's go. Oh, I can't show you. American Express is the credit card issuer, and it's also, of course, being processed by American Express. Those are two different parts of the card. When you see those, these are not co-branded. The bottom right logo is the processor. The far left on the American Express card, let's take a look at this one, really, really big. The American Express there, you see over on the American Express, that is the credit card issuer. But the co-branding is in the top right where it says Hilton Honors. So notice there are 3 logos here. One, the American Express issuer, credit card issuer, one American Express credit card processor, and then the co-branding is with Hilton Honors. Am I making sense? Now, if this isn't convoluted enough, take a look at the next one, because one day I walked into my Wells Fargo, and Wells Fargo has always used Visa MasterCard, but it wasn't a few years ago when they made a deal with American Express to be their processor. So all of a sudden, so many people, clients were confused, students were confused. They're like, what's going on? Was there a merger between Wells Fargo and American Express? Because we don't understand until we do, right? And so Wells Fargo made a deal. They dumped Visa and MasterCard and went with American Express to process this particular card. Now, here's what's interesting. Wells Fargo also has a MasterCard. I have one in my wallet. There is a MasterCard it's a business MasterCard, and it's a business Wells Fargo that's processed by MasterCard. And I also have a personal Wells Fargo that's processed by Visa. So when you say, is it a Visa or a MasterCard? Those are giveaways, and they're talking about the processor. Now, here's what's interesting. Every single Visa MasterCard starts out with a 4. So when somebody says, what type of card is it? Well, those are kind of inane questions these days, because if it starts with a 4, it's always Visa. Anything that has your 16 digits starts with a 4, it's a Visa. American Express is 3. Any 16 digit or any of the actually it isn't always 16 digits, but any card number that starts with a 3 is American Express. 5 is MasterCard, and 6 is Discover. Yes, now we can move on. All right. But notice the Discover logo is in the bottom right-hand corner, just like the MasterCard on this one over here, and the Walmart Money Card is a Visa here. So be on the lookout. These are only important. They are not co-branding. Be on the lookout. Anything that's a logo that's in the bottom right-hand corner is simply telling you what is being processed, who the processor is. Now, let's take a look at another one. Many of us may have accounts with USAA. There are large and small credit unions and savings and loans that also process through these different processors, and they may change. So your processor is who is on your card. Now, I also want to show you an example of a retail card, low value cards. If there is no logo on the bottom right hand corner, here's an example of a Target card. That means it is purely retail, and it's a merchandise card. But if there's a Visa, American Express, a Discover, or a MasterCard processor on that bottom right, that means cash is available. So you've seen there are different outfits out there that let you charge up, like an Amazon card. Well, it has a processor in the bottom right, because that particular Amazon, you can use cash anywhere and you get points or otherwise, right? But if it does not have a processor in the bottom right corner, it is almost universally a merchandise card for the sponsor on there. And then it could be but then when you look on your credit report, we've all seen, if you have seen any of the previous any of my previous podcasts, anything, the finance company cards, which is what this what this Target card is a representative of. These cards are finance company cards. They will dock your score with what's called because they are a consumer finance account, and FICO downgrades the value of these cards much more than any others. So that's why we want to make this, why we're distinguishing all of this here in front of us. All right. Now, the whole point is to show you that the bottom right-hand logo, whatever it is not the co-branding. And that the co-branding, notice, since this is a financial institution, this is a tier 3 100% card because it is a USA sponsored, and it's underwritten by itself and processed by American Express. All right, then finally, when we look at I want to go back to the co-branding. If there are 3 logos, like an American Express here on the far left, right? The American Express on the left, the American Express. Oh, I'm gonna make this work. The American Express. Can't see it. The American Express in the bottom right is the processor, and the co-branding is the other logo. Usually, hotels, autos, rental agencies, or even airlines. So that kind of gives us a wrap up, guys, of what is going on out there and why are all these logos on there and what it requires. So, there it is, American Express. See that 3 there on the screen? American Express is a 3. These are fake numbers. So, MasterCard that you see right there, it starts with a 1, but that's not true. This American Express, make sure you look at the show notes if you're only listening to audio so that you can see these graphics. But notice that this American Express starts out with a 3. And then do I have any other examples of the 4s and 5s? No, they're just showing those as fake cards. So yeah, and show notes, you'll be able to find the blog, the written version of this, show notes, etc. at getfundablepodcast.com. Oh, here's the money card. See, it starts with a 4 and it's a Visa. So, and this one is, there's the Discover. There's the 6 sitting out in front of you. The Discover is the processor. So that is the key indicator of what type of number is being processed and what the processor, who the processor is. Woo! All right. So that was a mouthful. Notice, I hope I've created a little more clarity for you in a facet of credit that literally is so difficult to navigate unless we know. And my intention is to create more clarity here so that you know what each logo represents, why they're on that particular card, and how you can navigate those waters. So you know when somebody sends you a card, you know what it means, who's processing it, etc. All right. Do we have a question? Let's fire away. Any questions we got here? Okay, so Maurice, we've got a question from Maurice that says, what about a Home Depot card? First question to you, Maurice, does it have a bottom right-hand logo? If it does, it's likely you can use that Home Depot card for points. You can use it as cash and use the points at Home Depot. There are brands that have cash, you can use as cash, which is the Home Depot card with the processor on it. If it's just a Home Depot card, that means it's only good for merchandise at the Home Depot itself. That's how we determine cash cards versus merchandise cards alone. And next question. All right. Well, I'm glad you guys were able to join us. And if you have, but that's Maurice, that is what we need to make sure we understand. If it has a processor in the bottom right, it's likely that it's going to be able to be used anywhere that that type of processor, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover, is taken. If it doesn't have that logo in the bottom right, one of those four, and right now there's only 4 processors. If it doesn't have that logo, it's likely limited to the merchandise of that particular store. Great question. Thank you. All right. That's all I have for you today on this episode of the Get Fundable podcast. And we will look forward to seeing you on the inside. Please. Oh, and by the way, like, comment, share, blow this up. If you've ever had this conversation, send it to a friend. Let them know that to watch this episode or any of the episodes of Get Fundable, because we want to change the world. And the best way for us to do that is for you to share it with your friends. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for listening to the Get Fundable podcast. Please leave comments because Merrill would love to read about your aha moments from this episode. And be sure to visit getfundable.com to read our blog, get important links, join our community, and much, much more, like ordering Merrill's tell-all book that is changing the world, The New F Word. And you got to tell your friends about this podcast because we want them to get fundable too.